Hello, glad you could come back again today. Today we're going to work on making a card. I'm going to draw it on a big piece of paper, but what you want to do is you'll want to fold your paper in half and then just really carefully look at which way it's going to open before you start drawing your picture on it. Now the colors I'm using are, I have a light blue, a dark blue, orange, yellow. I have a couple different colors of green. I have pink, light purple, and dark purple. Now, in order to, if you don't have a light purple, you can always make the purple feel lighter by just drawing lighter with it. The amount of pressure you put on your pencil will make the color difference. So we're going to be drawing flowers. Now, this circle, this plate I'm showing you is a circle. What I want to do is show you how when you are looking at a flower, you're not always looking at it straight in the perfect position like this. Sometimes they're tilted towards the sun. So if you watch the plate, you see the shape change. Even though it's a circle, you can keep turning it till it's almost a straight line like that. So what we want to do on this page is we want to lay out our flowers. And we're going to be doing 4 flowers, and there'll be different sizes because the ones that are farther away are going to look smaller. They're the same size, but we're going to draw them different sizes to make them look like they're going farther away. So these two up here, these little ones, what we're going to do is first just draw in 4 circles. So this one right here is maybe, see how I've drawn that? So it's sort of like this, tilted a little bit, and then this one down here, so that's tilted up that way, and this one down here is going to be similar size. So these circles are going to be the outer edges of where the petals go. So, and then we'll have the stems coming down. So we'll just kind of gently lay out for each one of these kind of where the stems are going. We won't do the whole stem yet because we don't know where our leaves are going to go. And then in the middle of each one of these is going to be the part where the seeds are. Now this will be yellow in our picture, and they won't really be seeds till the plant is done blooming and they dry out, and then the middle is where all the seeds are. And that's also the area where the honeybees come in and land and walk around on them to collect pollen. The petals are just to kind of make themselves visible so that the bees can and other insects can see that they're a flower, and they come in and take the nectar out of the inside. So on the circle, if we had it like this, you see when we tilt it, it's going to make this part up here be a little bit more towards the top. So it's not in the center, it's going to be a little bit, and it's also not going to be a circle. It's going to be roughly the same shape as that one. But this one's going to have a little bump on the top going upward. And then over here, this one's more facing us, so these are more round. These ones we're not going to be really worrying about too much up here because they're farther away. So we're just going to quickly draw the petals. Now the petals, I'll draw a big one right here. They have this kind of shape. Kind of like a rabbit's ear maybe. So this part attaches to the flower, and this part out here. And because of the way plants grow, they're kind of divided and they kind of open up. That's how you can fit it into this compact little bud, and as it opens up, the petals come out like the flower, so it kind of spins as it opens, and each one unfolds. So there's this little tiny line if you look closely at the petals. So we're just going to, up here, we're going to just draw them in quickly, and we're only going to go out to the edge of this blue area. Now, one of the reasons why we're using blue is when we start to color in this area as the sky, you can see it starts to, it covers up the outer circle and makes it blend in with the sky. So here I have a slightly bigger picture. And after I've laid out the petals, you can see that if you look closely right here, there is another layer of petals underneath. And each one of these has a little bit of a shadow on it. So I've taken my pinkish color and I filled that in, and now I'm going to, then I would go back and kind of put that kind of shadowy edge on the petals with purple, and maybe fill in this area with more purple. So these petals here, which are a little bit more like the flower, so when it comes out, it's going to kind of droop down this way. So as you're drawing, just kind of think about each petal as it's kind of coming out of the flower. And so this little area right here, there'd be a whole nother petal underneath, and it maybe doesn't come out all the way to the outer edge. It's inward just a little bit. And to show that it's inward, that's where we would use a little bit of our purple, a little bit of our pink, kind of a nice blending color effect going back in there. And then we would come back in and maybe darken just the darkest little spots. Just a little bit coming out. And it's less up here and gets more as it comes towards where you can see it. So the pink is kind of the underlying color, but fades out. And maybe if you want, you can add a little bit of pink in on these white petals as you're going along. But every one of these has that little line down the middle. And if you just take it really quickly, you can see, and you're only going to aim for halfway. So you see where the middle is. You push down here and you let up, you go fast and you let up as it goes. You might want to practice that on another piece of paper just so you, but by the time you've done every single one of these, and they're smaller on this other side here, because see how these petals are shorter? Well, that's because they're kind of actually going out of view. As these kind of come down like this on this side, they sort of disappear. Kind of roll over the edge. Now this might be also a good time on this middle. Remember I talked about how it's where the seeds develop. It has all along this edge right here, you can see I've put in, there's kind of a row of bigger here, and then in the middle we're just going to make a little circle of dots, and as we go round out from those dots, we're just going to make this motion. Kind of like a U, only kind of stretched out U, and that's going to be the same thing as if you're drawing an orange. You know how an orange has kind of a bumpy surface? Each one of these little dots is the little tiny tip that starts the seed. This is where they have the pollen, and that's where the bees walk across it and they pick up the pollen on their legs. Then they bring it back to their hive and they turn it into honey. So each one of these little blue circles that I've done, we're going to just go and color them in with the orange. So you can see here we've used our purple to kind of give us where between the two petals to show where it's dark. We've used the pink to kind of shade it just a little bit, and then we've used the lighter purple to kind of give us that feeling. And in the center we've done these little circles, and in the very center it's just almost dots. And once we've got those in there as kind of our underlying color, we'll go over it with yellow, and in the middle you can actually do your pencil like little circles to kind of give that, you might not be able to see it, but it'll give you kind of that feeling of the orange So the lines we've put in blue, after we color them with yellow, they turn greenish, and we just want to go back in there and add just a little bit of orange, and probably works better to put it in your circular motion again on these. That's what we call giving it kind of a texture. And up here we wouldn't worry about all the little dots. We would just fill it in with the yellow, and on the one side we'd put orange in there to kind of give it the shadow side, so it feels like it has more depth, because the middle has kind of a dome on it. Now these areas here, we have to get back and lay out our leaves now. So along where the stem goes, we put in the leaf shape, which is like this. Now when we go back in with our green, as we go up, we'll go up with this kind of motion, almost like lightning. So that gives us the little edges of the leaves, and each leaf also has a line down the middle. Now see how I put it more on one side than the other? So that gives me the feeling of how I'm looking at the leaf. If it was right in the middle, it would have a different feel to it. So when I do the leaf, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do the whole thing with this dark green, and then I'm going to go over the whole area down here where the leaves are. I'm going to fill this all in with green. And when I go back over that with, I did the light green. When I go over that, and don't forget to go right in here, being very careful with the ends of the white. So we're not going to color the petals any more than they are, because they're white daisies. So when I go in, and everywhere where the leaf is, I don't color in with this blue over the top. So I get this blue-green color, and it's leaving the color of the leaf being green. And after I've gone there, then, I'll go in and go over the green again with watch, I put in this line. So it's almost like you could actually draw two halves to the leaf. You could draw in one half of the leaf, and you could draw in the other half of the leaf. So if you get to a spot where you maybe made your leaf too thin, you could actually just add a little bit more like that and make it a bigger leaf. So after we filled in the whole area down here, this area with green, we figured out where the leaves are going to go up here. And up here you probably don't have to do the jagged edge. You could if you want, but since these are farther away, we don't have to pay as much attention to them. Down here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coloring in right on the very edge of the flower. And this is probably going to be the most time-consuming part. Every now and then I like to stop and doing the filling in color, and then maybe going back and looking at my flowers and deciding, oh, maybe I want a little bit of kind of light blue over here to make it look like this is the shadow side of the flower, and maybe the sun's coming from this way, and so these would be whiter than the ones over here. So it's a very, very soft thing, but it makes it just give it a little bit more depth. And these, after I get the blue over the top of the green, I mean, you could stop right there, but what I've done is I've added darker blue in, And some of these areas I've gone with orange in there. See, there's a little bit of orange mixed in with the blue. So orange over green kind of makes an olivey color. Turns a little bit more towards brown. And up here you can see like I said before, where the circle was, it sort of disappeared. And over on this side you can too, because you drew it in light enough that when you go over it with your pencil and fill it in, and you can see this area, see how I'm holding the pencil so it's kind of flat? So it gives me more of the ink surface to go over. So the bottom's a little bit darker. And I've used I'm going up and down, and I'm being fairly light because I'd rather go over it twice than make a mistake and have to try to fix it by having one area that's too dark. So you can see I've done pink and purple in this area over here. And this is a good chance to just kind of play with to see what colors will do when they go sit on top of another color. And I like to leave just when I'm going up and down, I don't worry too much about filling the whole color. I leave little areas of white in between, so then when I go over with the next color, I can try to maybe aim for those white areas and fill them in a little bit more. So this area up here, when you do your card, this is going to be half the size. But this is the area here where you might put a message like Happy May Day, or you could put Happy Birthday. Any little message like thinking of you, hope you're having a nice day. And then they would open the card and you might say something else in the middle. Or it could just be this picture on the outside of the card, and on the inside is where you put all the writing. And you can say things like, I'm having a good day, played with my dog, played with my cat. I don't have a cat right now, I just have my dog. So the thing to do is, after you get it to this part, you go back in and you start thinking about, okay, what do I need to make things a little bit darker? And everything's going to be darker on the one that's closest to you. And you can see just by filling in this little area with a dark blue, you can see how it makes it kind of that shadow feeling where they're kind of close together. So just darkening that, you can kind of it gives you a feeling of a little more distinction in the petals. Now we don't want to have outlines too much on these underneath ones. Maybe just on, you could go back and maybe do it on just one side if you can't see them clearly enough. But it's the white that kind of stands out because you've made the background dark. So that's a complete picture, and I'm hoping your picture turns out better than mine. Take your time, enjoy doing it. It's a good chance to have somebody read a book to you while you're working, or listen to music is a good thing to do. Till next time, be safe, be happy, and go outside and play as much as you can. This is Mr. Kane, wishing you a happy day.